Hi, LinkedIn. My name is Dr. Eliana Ramirez. I'm a licensed independent social worker, and I'm a researcher of racial and LGBTQ-related workplace trauma. I'm jumping on for an impromptu LinkedIn Live because, as some of you know, a friend of mine for the past 30 years passed this week. The pain became too intense, and they are no longer here. Of course, this is devastating for so many people. This person was the light of the party, was so full of energy and life and laughter, and they were extremely creative. And they had a lot of pain. And there's no shortage of pain right now in 2025 with so many layoffs, with such economic upheaval, political fears, changes that are happening locally, globally. A lot of people are suffering. And I have been concerned that there would be an increase in what's referred to as deaths of despair. These are when people pass in relation to their coping strategies. So they might be drinking more alcohol or using more drugs off the street or prescribed even. People are doing a lot right now to deal with the significant pain in their lives. And very easily people can overdose. There are also people who are choosing, it feels like they are choosing to unalive themselves because they just can't tolerate any more pain. And I've been doing suicide prevention for many, many years. And I'm absolutely heartbroken that I was unable to help my friend. He lived many states away. And I had sent him some resources at one point and reached out and had heard back that he was okay. And I don't know exactly what happened, but I do know that any human being who is unable to effectively defend against, fight off, or flee a chronic stressor can end up with their brain, the thinking part of the brain that we refer to as the prefrontal cortex, it's the front part of the brain, essentially goes offline. That is the part of the brain that is able to consider options, to problem solve, to critically analyze a situation. And when that happens, when the brain goes into a trauma response mode, you might have heard of this as fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. When that happens, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and it can seem like the only option to stop the pain is to end one's life. And I just want to share that that is a normal nervous system reaction. It's what happens to mammals across species. You might have seen a lizard that will play dead if it's being chased by a hawk that it can't escape. Possums do this as well. Or maybe you've seen a deer caught in headlights and is just kind of frozen. The corollary nervous system crash that happens in humans is the sense of needing to unalive oneself. That's the only way that a person can get out of the pain. So I just wanted to share a couple of resources because I know that there are a lot of people that are experiencing great pain right now. And I think due to stigma around mental health experiences, people aren't sharing with one another the depth of the injury and the pain that they're carrying. So I just wanted to share a couple of resources that I have shared with clients over many years as a licensed clinical social worker and as a professional coach. So the first resource that I share with people is this Now Matters Now, and I'll go up to the top of the page so that you can see it. Now Matters Now is an amazing website that is specifically for people who are feeling overwhelmed. And it might be that they're feeling overwhelmed and choosing to use more drugs or alcohol than usual, which can lead to an overdose. Or they're having distressing thoughts emerge around wanting to end their own life. When those feelings become overwhelming, this is a great place to go to learn skills or to join a meeting of other people who have the same experience and who have developed coping strategies to help them survive those moments. So when you come to the Now Matters Now website, this is what you see first. It's this first page, and you can learn skills on your own. These are self-help things that you can do in the privacy of your own home to help yourself get through that overwhelming feeling. You can also join a meeting, and these meetings are free and they're available throughout the week. So I just wanted to show you this website because I really think it's a phenomenal resource. It was created by Dr. Ursula Whiteside, who is herself a psychologist, who also is living with mental health experiences. And this is based in what's referred to as dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBT, which are essentially a group of activities that people can do to help calm the nervous system so that that thinking part of the brain can come back online. And this powerful website has a number of stories from people who have histories of surviving a suicidal crisis or dealing with really extreme feelings of pain. And this is Marsha Linehan. She is the psychologist who created dialectical behavioral therapy. So just to kind of orient you to this website, should you ever need it, the first place that you might consider going is this learning skills. I love recommending this resource to clients because there are a lot of people who would rather engage in self-help activities in the privacy of their own home, or maybe they don't have insurance, or maybe they've had bad experiences with law enforcement or mental health providers. And so they'd like to start off trying to help themselves at home. There's some really great resources here. Some of my favorite resources that I encourage people to check out have to do with cold water. It turns out that when we use cold water, you can jump into a really cold bath, you can take a cold shower, you can even submerge your face into really cold water, or put an ice pack on the back of your neck or a bag of frozen peas. What happens is we activate the brain's and nervous system's dive reflex that suddenly slows the breathing to the point where it activates a chain reaction through the nervous system and endocrine system to help that prefrontal cortex, that thinking part of the brain, come back online, and to send the message to the body that it's okay to come back to a state of rest and relaxation. Because if you've ever experienced overwhelming psychological, emotional pain, you might remember that very quickly the brain can do a loop of telling you that it's what you're experiencing in that moment will never end. And using these skills of cold water can really help it's like an emergency brake on the brain and the nervous system. So this is a video of Dr. Ursula Whiteside and a woman named Diana, who are showing how to place your face in cold water with ice cubes and to create a sudden sense of that emergency brake. There are also really powerful videos that Dr. Whiteside shares where, like, she actually steps into a cold bath and she's got a smartwatch on that's tracking her heart rate. And you can hear as she's dipping into the bath, her counting down the slowing of her heart rate. And you can hear in her voice how quickly it's starting to help her to slow down. So this is just, again, it's one of my favorites. And around children, especially, this can be really, really helpful. I highly recommend considering, it could be a simple thing of jumping into a cold pool or getting into a cold bath, or again, just even putting ice cubes on the back of one's neck for a period of time. So that's just one of many, many different resources that are here on the Now Matters Now website. I want to take you back to that first page. So I'm going to go back up here to Now Matters Now on the left side and go to Join a Meeting. So in the Join a Meeting section, you can send, this is Dr. Ursula Whiteside who's explaining the meetings. Again, they're free. Anyone can attend them. All you need to do is send an email with your name, and they will send you the details of how to log into the meetings. And these meetings are not therapy. These meetings are literally helping people to develop the skills to survive those moments of overwhelming pain. Another thing that I'd like to share with you are the parts of this website that I think many people who especially have recurring thoughts of wanting to unalive themselves, it can be really helpful to hear from other people who have that recurring experience as well when life becomes overwhelming, and to hear how they have survived. So there are really powerful videos of people saying that, simple things like painting a room or getting a cat and caring for an animal. And this person says, don't just get any cat, get a cat who has special needs. Get an activity that has a clear beginning and end, because when you engage in an activity that has a completion, you're actually releasing feel-good hormones into your body that can help to counteract those stress hormones that are causing the mind to go into that emergency fight, flight, freeze, and fawn mode. Additionally, this website is really powerful because it has a variety of tools that you can use when you're in a calmer place to help yourself when the temperature gets too high in stress. And they call these safety plans. Again, really encourage, if you're in a moment where you're feeling like your stress is getting a little bit higher and you want to do something to help yourself to calm down, these are some really great resources here. Additionally, if you are in a moment of acute crisis and you are concerned about your safety right now, there's a button at the top right that says, I need help now. So again, Now Matters Now, this is a resource that I pretty much share with everyone who I work with as a client. And I want to share a couple of more resources with you. So I know a lot of people who experience workplace abuse, workplace trauma, if they are Black, Indigenous, or other people of color, oftentimes racism, interpersonal racism, systemic racism, institutional betrayal are common experiences. And so I wanted to share with you a resource that unfortunately is not going to be around for too much longer. This is a resource that is out of Oregon State. And I'm just going to pull this up really quickly here. It's called the Racial Equity Support Line. It's been an amazing resource that I've shared with a lot of clients. Unfortunately, it's only going to be around for another month. Well, I guess 2 months, because we're just at the beginning of May. So it will close in June 30th. But until then, this is a free support line that you can call if you are experiencing racial trauma, to speak with somebody who is specifically trained to talk about racism and the ways that racism impacts our physical health and our mental health. Things like racial battle fatigue. So that's another really important resource that I found many people appreciate having access to. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to share with you is a resource that is from the Trauma Research Foundation. If you are not familiar with it, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote The Body Keeps Score, runs this Trauma Research Foundation. And they have this incredible program where they bring in providers who help people experiencing significant trauma to use their body's own natural healing capacity through what's referred to as somatic practices. So these are body-based practices. So this website, I've brought you to this page called Somatic Library. It's under resources right here in the Somatic Library. When you come here, there are a variety of recordings that are available at no cost. And this is why I like it so much. And to share it with people who maybe who don't have a lot of resources right now financially, or who want to try and do self-help kinds of experiences. So there are these wonderful videos of providers who are leading everything from therapies that use your voice box, because it turns out that the vagus nerve, which connects the brain to all of the major organs in the body and your limbs, when we sing, when we hum, when we chant, we are activating that vagus nerve, which is another kind of emergency brake for the brain to help bring the brain back online when we're having a trauma response. But there are also a variety of different videos that are in here that are body-based things. There are guided meditations, there are breathing exercises, and it's just an incredible resource. All of it, again, free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So with that, if you are experiencing overwhelming stress or pain, please know that your brain might be in a trauma response mode. And the most important thing that you can do is to help yourself calm the body, because once we start to calm the body, then the brain can come back online to engage in critical thinking, to identify options that might help a little bit. We can't oftentimes make a major change in our lives, but we can do a little bit to help us tolerate the pain just enough until things actually change meaningfully in our lives. So thank you so much for joining this. I hope that you might have found a resource that's helpful. I will also share that I have put together a couple of different free resource guides for people who are experiencing significant challenges like being laid off. I'll just show this real quick for anyone who might want to see it. This is a resource guide that I created for life following layoff, and it has a variety of resources, mental health crisis resources, as well as resources to help find a new job. And I'm just going to pull it up really quickly here for you so that you can see it. Okay. So this is, and it's free, available to anyone. Talks about how layoffs are extremely, extremely challenging experiences, but we oftentimes don't discuss them. Really, truly, if you have been laid off or if you're facing layoff, go easy on yourself. We know that especially elongated periods of unemployment are associated with so much stress that we know physical health and mental health suffers. So I created this resource guide that has a variety of resources. You'll see that there are numerous underlined hyperlinked resources. So this is that Now Matters Now website that I just shared with you. This is a beautiful list of resources that were collected by inclusive therapists about crisis lines that do not call the police. There is an unemployment helpline here, career one-stop, information to help you learn about unemployment benefits, finding a job, workforce development, and so much more. If you are laid off, it's important to not sign anything until you have spoken to an attorney. Provided two different resources here to get help. The first is A Better Balance. They have this no-cost helpline that they are trained specifically around employment law. And then if you want to find a lawyer, you can use this NELA, National Employment Lawyers Association directory. And then I've provided a number of resources that can help people who are facing layoff or who have just been laid off. So if you are in the process of being laid off and you still have access to work email, it's a great idea to make sure that you get copies of examples of your work. If you're being unlawfully terminated, or if you have been discriminated against or abused in some other way, it's really important to collect documentation of that so that you can advocate for yourself with a severance package and or potentially with an employment-related lawsuit. There are also steps, recommendations, what to do right after a layoff. These are things that you can do to protect yourself legally, but also what you can do to help stabilize yourself financially and to ensure that you are able to access healthcare should you be in the position of losing your health insurance. It's really, really important to know when your health insurance will expire so that you can go in and get a checkup or any work done before that expiration happens. And then there are a variety of resources and suggestions around physical health next steps. What you can do to not only kind of do an inventory and see if stress has already started to impact your health, but really what you can do to support your body so that you can sustain the incredible stress of looking for new work. And then there are mental health next steps, things to help yourself regain as much psychological peace or return to a level of balance as possible. It's really important to avoid toxic people, avoid toxic situations. Anyone who might blame or criticize you for your job loss, especially, stay the heck away from them. And there are also professional next steps, recommendations of things that you can do to, get back in the race of the workforce. There are so many great resources that are out there. And I know many of us go to LinkedIn when we are facing a layoff or when we are in an abusive workplace. And I just wanted to acknowledge that there is a lot of pain that is associated with layoffs and with workplace abuse that can lead to ambiguous loss. An ambiguous loss is when we have a deep level of pain. It could be grief. It's also referred to as frozen grief or grief limbo, when something horrible has happened to us and there's no closure. When somebody has an accident or has a surgery, oftentimes people will come over and they'll, send a card, a get well card, or they might bring over a casserole. Or when we lose a loved one, oftentimes people will show up with condolences. But there are some losses, like job loss, that oftentimes leave us devastated, but nobody brings a casserole for that. And there's no real acknowledgement. There's no ritual that allows us, like a funeral can help people to process grief. There's nothing like that when there is a layoff or when somebody's fired from an abusive workplace, or they have to flee an abusive workplace to protect their own health and sanity. So I just wanted to share this because I think a lot of people on LinkedIn feel the need to present their best face possible because they're looking for jobs. And I just want to normalize that if you're experiencing things like extreme loneliness, heightened stress, confusion, sorrow, numbness, pain, bitterness, a persistent longing, rumination, meaning that you're having the same thought over and over and over again, or guilt or anger, that these are normal aspects of ambiguous loss. And then I provided a number of references that might be of use to you. Some of these are videos, some of them are written materials. And then I created a workplace trauma recovery resource guide, again, completely free, just making it available to people because I know how much pain people are experiencing. Information about health insurance, how to apply for unemployment benefits, and this incredible resource list put together by the amazing Bella Gaetan, who put together an underemployed and underemployed resource list. I cannot speak highly enough about this resource that Bella has put together for folks. Again, completely available, free, no charge. There are some recommendations about how you can stabilize your finances with those pesky, recurring costs that many of us end up with and forget about. There's an amazing Substack by Melanie Ehrenkrantz. It's called Laid Off. And she does these amazing interviews with people who've been recently laid off and then shares them. I think that it's especially helpful to hear from other people who have been laid off, because oftentimes what you experience, others are experiencing too. And just being able to talk to other people about that experience or read about other people's experiences can help to reduce isolation, and it can be the important kickstart to a recovery process. The amazing Dr. Carrie Yazid, who wrote Unbreak My Soul, How Black Women Can Begin to Heal Workplace Trauma. She has this amazing video on YouTube, From Fired to Surviving, How I Earned Income in My First 30 Days. She has a variety of resources on her YouTube channel. I highly recommend checking out her YouTube channel and her books. Oh my gosh, Joe Cardillo, they are one of my favorites on LinkedIn. They have an incredible remote job board, and they do a phenomenal lift in really vetting these resources and archiving them on a regular basis, keeping them up to date. Black Remote She Job Board is another phenomenal resource for Black LGBTQI plus workers. Black Remote She and Jasmine Williams, who is the CEO of Black Remote She, they are committed to vetting every single job that they list on their job board to ensure that they are explicitly anti-racist. There are a whole bunch of additional job boards and platforms that I've put here. Natalia Merced created a post on LinkedIn that was great, that had a number of different job boards listed. Another amazing list. This is job boards specifically for the nonprofit sector. This was put together by Amanda Augustine. Again, hyperlinked, so you can actually go to the job boards themselves. And then back again to Joe Cardillo, who partnered up with Black Remote She to do a 7-day email course for job seekers. It's phenomenal. You sign up for it and you get an email each day over a 7-day period that has just a plethora of resources to help you structure the job search, to find job opportunities, to prepare for interviews. And then Creative Compass, if you are thinking about creating a company of your own, I highly recommend Shelby, who is the owner of Creative Compass. She makes websites that are truly gorgeous. And then I put on here a link to my own website, Workplace Trauma Recovery Resources, that have a variety of blog posts and other resources that, especially interviews that I've conducted with people who have experienced workplace abuse, also employment attorneys, and folks, especially who are Black, Indigenous, people of color, and or part of the LGBTQIA2S community. So without further ado, if you found this helpful, please do leave a comment or share it with others. If you would like to be invited to events that I do on occasion around workplace trauma recovery, please do, sign up for my listserv, and I'm happy to share those resources with you. So thank you for being here, and any feedback that you might share. I appreciate you being here. Dr. Santini, thank you. It's so glad to see you. And I'm so glad to see you in the audience. And everyone, please do reach out if there's anything that I can do to provide resources or support to you. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and one another.